there was definitely ones that were our favorites.
It was hard to choose, though. We had a lot of songs, and it was hard to narrow it down. Actually, number one, wasn't supposed to be on the album, but then the reaction to that song was so great that everybody, the label was like, "No, you have to put that song on the album." And
why didn't you want to put it on?
I don't know, because it's the only song that was like really just a derivative of another existing song. You know, it was more. It felt
a little gimmicky.
More like a cover, yeah.
So we were just gonna do that just to, you know, throw on SoundCloud or something. But
everybody loved it so much.
Yeah, the label was in love with the song, so
they said you got to put it on the album, and we were like, all right, fine.
Did you look back at the mixtapes you made a lot during this process?
Not really. It was more kind of just whatever we were on at the time. Like some of the earliest tracks I did, I would like listen to a one-way song and play along to it, and then come up with some chords and make a beat. Like that's, and, you know, over time, kind of sophisticated the process a little more. But it's all about just getting in the right zone that feels, you know, funky. And
I mean, we never stopped collecting those records, you know. So the whole time
we're just buying more obscure ones more than anything. So
yeah, but we've always collected those records, you know.
Yeah,
we never stopped.
So were there certain records that were playing a lot when you were together and in the studio?
Yeah, there were. I don't know. Yeah, well, definitely a lot of.
Sometimes we'll reference certain things. Like I tell them that's the only way I can really produce is to explain, like, because I don't really know the musical term for exactly what it is. But you know, on that song, how they do this with the vocal, how it's real staccato and muted. Yeah. Like we would do stuff like that. You know, more of that than like necessarily. Yeah, sing it exactly like this. It'd be more like the approach, you know.
Right. And we actually we redid some songs a lot of times. Like the version of number one that
was just the first one was terrible.
The version that you hear on the album is like the fourth try at that song, and the first three were just not right. You know, we couldn't figure it out quite, and then it clicked and we got it. That happened with a lot of songs. You know, sometimes for the earlier, you know, the first couple demos, I was really trying to emulate the singers from the early 80s and late 70s, and we just found out that it was much cooler. It worked way better if I just sang the songs as me.
I think that was a big part of
my style.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of what made it something different.
That's what makes it unique. Yeah.
Because he has a unique voice, and it doesn't sound like, you know, his voice doesn't sound like anything from that era.
It doesn't sound like Cameo, and it doesn't sound like Rick James, you know, it doesn't sound like...
But yeah, when we did the first couple of songs, I remember playing them for my boy Vitamin, and he was like, man, is this like some old dude with a jerry curl? Like, where'd you find it? Like, what is this?
So yeah, I had to go back and re-sing some of them and just do it and just be me.
Yeah.
And it was so much better.
In that sense, was there some apprehension about, because it's based on throwback music in a sense, was there some apprehension not to become kind of like a novelty?
That thing? Was, I mean, there was a big, we didn't want it to be corny. I mean, that was super important.
Really didn't
There's songs that we had that was, you know, teetering in that.
On the edge.
On the edge. It's funny, there was one song we did that to me was pretty corny. We redid it recently, and that was hard. So, you know, it's all in the delivery, album. You know, like sometimes it's just like the vibe isn't right or the beat wasn't right for it. It could be a good idea, it just didn't come across the right way. But yeah, I think we worked really hard at trying to limit, you know, those moments.
It was really important to us that it feel like a new record. You know, we didn't want to just go back and redo old records. You know, we didn't want it to be like a throwback record. We wanted to make something that sounded new, that when you hear it, it feels new.
Right. And then, well, you mentioned having written about 26 songs, and then making your selection. What was this selection based on?
Just on what we thought was the jammingest cuts. And the funny thing is we both made our list of 12 songs.
Yeah.
And
it was like the same
exact
list,
12. There might have been one different one.
Maybe.
But it was like, it was clear to us.
He picked his 12 and he sent them to me and I was like, yeah, those are the ones. So that was it.
It was obvious.
It was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Well, then you also mentioned going back to a song about a couple of times. So, as producers, and then your credits are mostly production, and then you've produced a lot as well. Is it difficult then, especially with two producers in the room, to decide when a song is finished?
It can be. It's a lot easier when it's your song. Like that was the thing is these are our records. So like when I'm working with you know, Rick Ross or Wale, whoever it is, I'm not usually allowed that much creative input. You know, I'm allowed to do my thing with the music, but I can't just be like, I guess I can. There's certain guys I can say that to, and they'll listen. But in general, that's just not how it works in rap for the most part. So this was, you know, it was a totally different experience as far as that. But you know, we also both kind of had a good idea when something was right. You know, like when we redid number one, it was like, yeah, that's it.
When we got it, we knew. You know,
like when I redid the beat with Swish, it was like, that's what it's supposed to be.
I think that's one thing that Jake is particularly good at, though, is knowing when, you know, when he hears it, knowing when it's right. And he'll be like, yeah, that's right.
Did you pick up little tricks from each other as well?
Yeah, I learned a lot about just singing and like how he puts, you know, songs together and the layering of vocals.
Like
I never really
arranging
had done that. Yeah.
More song, you know, structuring songs. Yeah. Because it's very different from rap music. You know, it's a lot different. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I learned a lot about that also just from this experience. Because I've never made a record like this either.
Yeah.
I've also like, I've really never made an album where, you know, another producer was doing most of the work for most of the production.
Was it difficult to let that control go?
No, it was so nice.
He seemed to like it.
Oh my God, it was so nice for me because I didn't have to do everything myself. I'm used to having to do it all myself, and you know, the beats that he was sending me were so good that I would like immediately it would inspire me to write a song. You know, which was it made it a lot more fun for me because when it's faster like that, then you can stay. It's easier to stay focused.
Yeah.
And when, you know, sometimes when you're writing a song all by yourself, you're like, you get so stuck on, you know, which chord is the right one, then you lose focus and you start to, you know, fade. It's like, it was really nice for me.
So then this focus, was it in that sense also difficult for you to retain it because it was made, or the record was made kind of
such a long period of time? Well, I think you hear like, I mean, I can listen to the album and be like, this was stage one, this was stage two, this was stage three. I can listen to the songs and how we were putting them together and hear the differences. Like, and it's funny, we end up kind of grouping the songs together without necessarily trying, but the first three songs were the first three songs we did.
That's true.
The last one was it wasn't. The last one was just, you know, there's a certain vibe.
That was just the way it worked out.
The last song we did was The Right Time. Later. And, you know, that has a way different feel than like Lost Lover or Watch the Dance. It's just more refined, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It just is, you know.
So in that sense, then it's not all the same.
Yeah. We definitely, I didn't want to make an album that all sounds the same.
No, every song is different. Yeah. Really, every song has its own feel to it. And I think that's, you know, I think that was a part of the thought process too, was that we didn't want to have an album of like 12 songs that sound the same. You know, we wanted it to be a variation because we were really creating an album, not just a collection of songs. You know, we're both like we're album artists.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy your album if I gotta skip songs. You know,
and
I'm not buying it.
It's weird, like even putting those 3 songs out for the EP, and like Do It is kind of turned into the song, but we didn't really even anticipate that. So to make that, you know, having people make that the focus has been kind of weird. You know, it's different. It's great to have a song that people love like that.
Jake, do you know what Mayer's favorite song is on the record?
I think it's The Right Time because it's the newest one. So I mean, you know, like I'm on that too.
He knows my favorite song is always the last one.
But Why always the last then?
Because
Just the one you haven't played out.
Yeah, it's the one that you've heard the least.
Yeah.
And then, what do you think his favorite is?
Man, I know he definitely is partial to the ones that are more hip hop. So maybe like Lost Lover, So Good.
Yeah.
Those are
Slower.
Those are the slower joints are the ones that he likes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem.